And those are things that are
powerful.
Let's say I'm that dad, or if my dad showed up and he didn't say a word to me, he would have already spoken just by his presence.
Exactly.
I'm here.
Because you were seeking some form of affirmation, which when you're affirmed, it gives you value too. When you're affirmed.
And so if you're raised this way, if you're breeded
Yeah.
this way, come on.
When you're affirmed, you're saying, I'm something, I'm somebody, I'm important,
Wow.
Come on.
I have great value.
So now I meet my queen,
Yeah.
and I'm raised up and breeded that way.
Yeah.
My marriage is totally different.
That's right.
That's the tail I was trying to get to.
Absolutely.
Versus the person that, didn't get that.
That's right.
Maybe didn't have the counselors like you guys in their
That's
life.
right.
Or
That's
the mentors or somebody to
Mentors,
look at.
absolutely.
Mentors.
And it's so important because I think that when we begin now with you is a little bit different because you chose to do the opposite of what was shown to you. So even for those of you who are raised in a home that was not there, you still can shift history. You don't have to repeat it.
Yes.
You can shift it. You're an example of that shift. My
Yeah,
brother.
and I want to speak to that
That's
because
amazing, right?
I have
Yes.
people that I know that maybe have not made that decision and probably try to use that as an excuse.
There you go. That's where I'm coming from, my brother.
Let's talk about that a little bit because then you stay in this wicked cycle, man.
I like what Dr. Henry Cloud said. He's a brilliant Christian psychologist and family therapist. He said, no matter how you were raised, your choices, the choices that you make, you will still have to take responsibility for the outcome. And that made me think a lot. So for those of you, you still have a choice. You can choose to either allow what you did not receive and take that and carry it on to your children, or you can say, I refuse to be the way I was raised to be. I choose to be the man that God designed me to be. And I know that may sound a little religious to some of the our hearers.
Yeah.
But mentors are important. But the greatest mentor is the one that really created humanity.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Man.
And that's called.
Well, this is the
Christ.
part of the show where we share fun facts. And if you don't know,
Well, now you know.
Now, usually the ladies take care of this portion.
All right.
But I'm going to go ahead and I think I got a good one. Did you know the brains of an adult male are about 10% larger in total size than the brains of women? Because men generally have a larger stature and more muscle mass than women. Their brains require more neurons to control the body. Did you know
But
that?
did you know, this is my fun fact, did you know that the man uses the peanut size?
Oh, you better. I was like, what are you talking about, man?
No. Peanut size of that huge brain versus the women. We know that women are more brilliant than men.
We done, Pastor D. We done.
Y'all need Jesus, man.
Let me try one more. Did you know the second longest finger for most women is next to their thumb, the index finger. But for men are the opposite. They usually have the ring fingers, those next to the pinky finger that are longer than index fingers. Well, that's a portion.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Well,
I didn't know that, man.
If you didn't know,
Well, now you know.
Sending out a quick shout out to our partners at Bridgework Counseling.
Yeah.
You can get counseling with everything we're talking about today, man. If you don't have that, you can get that through Bridgework Counseling. I myself have worked with them and I've seen tremendous change in my life because of them. So reach out to them at www.bridgeworkcounseling.com. Again, that's www.bridgeworkcounseling.com. gmail.com. Also want to send a shout out to Zamar, the opening song. Go check out his Spotify. He has been kind enough to allow us to use that for our podcast, man. So we're excited about that. Wow, man. So this is a powerful conversation we've been in. We got a special guest, Pastor D, in the house, man.
Yes, sir.
You enjoying yourself with us, man?
Man, I'm having a blast.
We're
man.
excited to have you here, man. So where can we take this conversation to the next place, man, D?
All right, so I have a question for Pastor D.
All right. Do my best to answer.
All right. Does my father have anything to do with what I've become?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In part, yes. I don't think that he defines the whole, but he definitely plays a major role of what you do become. And that's not a negative. We think that's a negative. In fact, I'm a great husband because my father wasn't always a good husband. So he played a major role in helping me become something that he was not.
Give you an incentive.
He gave me an incentive, absolutely.
To choose the opposite.
Yeah, and can I share a story with that? Is that okay?
Come
with
on,
you?
man. I love it. Love
because
it.
I think this is personal now. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
it's personal. I remember that at 12 years old, that was the age. That and again, I love my father. I think he's a good man. You know, he was not brought up in the environment that I was brought up in, a far better environment that obviously he was brought up. So no ill will towards my father, who I love with all my heart, with all my soul. But you can't deny your experience. Come on, man.
No, you can't.
You can't deny your experience. And so I remember at 12 years old, I just did not like necessarily what I saw between my father and my mom. And at that age, at 12 years old, I said, I will never be the type of husband at that conjecture in their lives.
Yeah, in that season.
I would never be the husband that my father is. And I think I carried that through. So yes, it plays a major role in my life, but it doesn't have to be negative. And I think that's important. What do you think?
I think you're right on. I think that in order for you to know what's good,
Come on.
you've got to experience some bad stuff.
Absolutely.
In order for you to know that there's healing, you got to get sick a little bit.
Come on.
Right?
That's right. That's right.
So it's the same concept. It's the same
It
notion.
really is.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we're so angry with our fathers, and maybe, the Bible says, be angry, for those of you who are not into the God thing. But the Bible does say that if you're angry, it says be angry, but sin not. So there's an anger that takes me to a place where I say to myself, I don't want to be like this. My father has done this, and I don't want to be like this. And I'm indignant about ever wanting to be like that. That's a good anger.
Yes.
That's a good anger.
It's a good trigger, if we can
really
say it
is.
like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a good trigger. So, and then there's the side where you have a good father. You know what I'm saying? And he does everything proper. There's no perfect father. Notice I said that, but a good father. And that plays, that narrative plays a very important role in the development of the mind of a young man. There's a word that they use in family therapy psychology called emotional object constancy. Okay, and what they teach there is, so this question can even go from the moment a child is born and the mother and the father embraces that child. From that moment forward, it begins to develop a safety net within the psyche of that child without the child being able to process those thoughts as a little baby.
Yes.
Look how powerful that
agree.
is.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we have to say that it does plays a role, but not always in the negative like we like to portray sometimes.
We have the amazing ability as we're built by grace and love to make adjustments.
Absolutely.
to rise from the ashes, to rise to the occasion. All it takes is our will and our yes.
Absolutely.
You will always hear me say, you can rewrite your story. It doesn't matter what you're going through, what you've gone through. You have the ability, the grace, and everything inside of you to put yourself in a position and go through a process of renewal where on the other side, you've got a new story.
Yes.
And we've heard it and we've seen it so much throughout life. And yet what I don't understand is that, and we're talking about men, but in general, I can say people don't want to embrace that. People, what they want is a handout. And let me explain that. Right? So our society today is so used to the immediate. Right now we're hungry. I can go on a platform, an app, and we can have food here in 30 minutes. Right? Whatever we want to eat.
It's actually being delivered, by the way. It's on its way.
It's on its
I
way.
was like, you spoke it into
Here
existence.
it comes.
Yeah, yeah. And you name it, whatever it is, it's at our beck and call.
Yep.
The mistake that we've made is that when it comes to our emotional issues, we think that there's an app that in 30 minutes can undo what has taken a lifetime to destroy us or try to.
Hey, even them shows back in 1980s, and I'm not going to mention the ones because they're not sponsors, but it seems like the problem will be solved in 30 minutes.
Exactly.
The episode.
Yes.
And it requires not only the participation and the will to want to be different, but you got to go through a process.
I'm trying to be quiet on that.
And that's key.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to submit yourself through a process. And most people start it and then they abort because, I'm good. How many people have you counseled that you've said, listen, we're going to go through this process and we need to do A, B, C. And you go down the list, right?
Wow.
Based on the initial assessment.
Yes.
Because not everybody's the same.
Exactly. Everybody's
Right.
different.
So
Or situations are different.
once they have one session, one or two things happen. Right? They leave
It's true.
and they're worse.
Yeah.
And they're mad at the world. Why? Because what you've done is you've showed them, you've put a mirror in their face.
That's right.
And you've said, hey, in order to start here, we have to acknowledge where you're at.
That's right.
You have to acknowledge where you're at. And is it fair to say that this is where you're at?
Come on.
All right? Once they acknowledge, then we start to build.
Absolutely.
And once they commit to saying, you know what? That's dead on.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it gets worse before it gets better, right?
Yeah.
I believe definitely. I think in again, every situation is a little bit different, but there are situations where it really has to get really bad.
Rock bottom.
It has to, because you can't deny the facts.
Yeah.
I'll say that again. You cannot deny the facts. So when you see the facts, that's where the rock bottom begins to occur, because you have to admit this is the scenario that exists in my life right now. And then I begin to see, well, and now these are the steps that are necessary to begin to change these things. Okay. And then am I willing to go through the process of pain in order to finally get the reward that I am looking for?
Yeah. And then a lot of people want what you have, but they're not willing to go through what you went through.
Everything has a
Yeah.
price.
'Cause
And
even
we're not
with
all
my-
willing to pay that price.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is that people, if they acknowledge their symptom, right? You can get them to that point. Yeah. It hurts here, right? That's a symptom.
Okay.
That's right.
I like it.
Symptom.
Come on, Dr. E.
It hurts here. You take them through an assessment and they start feeling better and this pain went away, right? They cut the process off. I'm good. I mean, I'm brand new. But they don't realize that behind that symptom is a root cause.
Where's the cause coming from?
The root cause.
Absolutely.
And in order to get to the root cause, there's a lot of peeling back, like you say. There's a lot of unveiling, a lot of peeling back, a lot of going through and talking through the past.
A diagnosis reveals what exists, but it does not reveal where it's coming from.
Come on, man.
Oh, God. Drop the bomb on that
Come
one,
on,
bro.
brother.
Wow.
That's it.
And you know that. I mean, you work with so many people. You're the doctor here, and I'm not. And so, and I know you see this more than me, where just because something has been unveiled, it doesn't mean that we know where the problem really exists.
Or that it's solved.
Yeah, or definitely not solved. Revelation of a truth doesn't solve anything yet. It only solves the problem when we begin to apply the truth and see how it works.
Come on, man.
I got a quick question. Speaking of all this, why are most men falling short and failing at becoming successful, responsible, loyal, and dedicated men?
Pride. Now you may say pride. Pride. And let me tell you why. Because the lack of success is a truly lack of accountability. I want you to really think that through, man. Think that through. Process that thought.
Accountability and denial of responsibility.
Exactly. And when we don't really allow ourselves to be accountable and we try to self-diagnose.
My gosh.
And try to doctor ourselves,
Come on.
we're going to be biased.
Yes.
We're going to be biased because our pride does not want us to come to a place where we are able to recognize that we have issues.
Now, is it always bad or the wrong thing to have pride?
No, absolutely not. There's pride that allows me to move forward, right? God designed us to be that way. But then there's the pride that is filled with arrogance.
Okay.
And it's filled with fear of exposure. I don't want to be exposed because then I'm not the man I'm supposed to be. And I don't want you to know that.
Now,
I know I'm opening up a little bit of can of worms
No.
there.
Yeah, I was
It's
going to
good.
say, we're Latino, so that is a word
We're
in
very
our culture.
prideful.
Machismo.
Machismo,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I find that the young men that allow me to keep them accountable, even though they resist at times, are the men that are having the greatest success of their lives, and it blows my mind away. And I, in the other hand, as a mentor, if I can say a mentor, and to some mentor, and to some a father-like figure, and to some a pastor.
Yes.
Wow.
Those three things are flows in my personal life. I find that even when they push back, I'm okay with that because that's what manhood is all about. but
Wow.
you understand?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
want to push, and I'm proud of them because they're men, not boys.
so that triggered this.
Okay.
Oh man, trip, bro.
You said pushback.
Yes.
Why is it that and I'm going to talk about our culture. Why is it that our forefathers in our culture didn't allow us as men or as young men to push back?
Oh, you better talk about
And
this.
always found themselves suppressing us
Yes.
from our voice.
What does that sound like, though? Like, take us back a little bit. What's that pushback?
Well, challenging my dad
Exactly.
Oh, man.
That's a perfect example.
on a paradigm that he has.
Yes.
And he couldn't explain it.
Just in conversation?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Simple as that.
He couldn't explain it. And when I wanted him to define it and explain it to me, because I'm from another generation, respectfully.
Absolutely.
And that's always very important.
That's
respectfully. I don't know, but because I said so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I remember that.
And I don't want to hear it.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. That posture is unacceptable.
Go to your room, play outside.
Or you're disrespecting me.
Well, you're triggering some stuff here.
Yes.
You're
But the
being
reality is that
Did he know?
they don't have the answer.
They didn't have Google.
And their pride didn't allow them to say,
Exactly.
you know, Papa, I didn't know.
I don't know.
Oh, still to this day, probably.
I think, but you know what? I listen, man. I'm gonna be honest and transparent. I've been there before, bro.
We're there now.
You know, where my son pushed back.
We're grown boys.
Come on, let's talk about it.
You know,
That's what
all
we're here
of us
for.
here have grown children,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know about you, and with and I have knowledge, and I educate myself in the whole 9 yards. But our kids are really educating themselves, man. And when they push back, I'm much better now. I give God the glory that I have enough common sense in my learning to be the best dad that I want to be, and because of that, I learned. But man, they can get on my nerves, man.
But wait. Let me say this. While they were like 10, 12, growing 7 to 12, I was super dad because
So was
I
I,
had
man.
Google at my side.
Yeah.
They'd be like, Dad, what is it? And now I'll walk to like, I'll be back. I use the restroom. Google that. Come back like, son, this is the reason, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh man, Dad.
But you see, that's your dynamic, right? My dynamic is different, man. I was always, in the tech side, so I'm a 54-year-old man, really like a millennial in the Z generation when it comes to the technology, and still realize that even though I am that way, I still can't process the information like they can.
I agree.
Their processor is way advanced.
Way advanced.
Way
and so
advanced.
sometimes we as fathers, when we get that pushback, we start feeling that we no longer have what
Control.
it takes.
Or that respect.
We don't have control.
Well, control is a major issue because sometimes we can say, well, it's not that I want to control, is that I want to be able to be someone that still you look forward to allowing me to have some level of influence.
Yeah.
But that's hidden behind control.
It is, because when your son's coming at you,
This is so
right?
good, man.
I'm a
Let me
control
tell
freak.
you.
Listen, I'm a control freak.
That's why I say
I'm going to admit it.
Wait.
Because you know me.
You want to tell them about the kitchen and all the lights and all that?
Listen, man, I'm a control freak, man. I like to control the narrative because sometimes in my pride, I think I do know it all.
But that's how you're built.
And
Yes,
isn't that a lot of men though, as well?
Yeah.
But
I think I'm a little unique though.
No, that's a lot of men, right? Or most men, but they don't deserve that because they don't do anything to position themselves to be
That's
that.
so good.
So my man here, he always tells me, I don't have any degrees. Dude, but you know more. You know more than people that have 2 PhDs, master's degree. This guy loves knowledge and he pursues it. How many books were you reading at one time a month?
I was reading a book a week.
A book
Literally
a
a
week.
book a week.
A
And I
book
did that
a
for about 2 years.
And then you have the ability to retain.
Yeah.
And
Praise the
because
Lord, all the glory of
life
God.
has brought you scenarios and issues within your family members, within your community, you applied a lot of those things, and in turn, you saw the fruits of that.
Praise the Lord.
And that's why you carry now a voice that is heard, and not just heard, but is being pursued. That's the only reason you're here on my show.
Hey, it's an honor
Because
and a
if
privilege, and I'm
you didn't
humbled,
know what
man.
you were
I'm
talking
humbled.
about, we'd have your wife here because she's better than you.
But you know what? She sure is, man. She's the one with the degrees, people. But you know what's interesting? That sometimes that very thing can become so prideful.
It feeds.
And it feeds your pride.
Now,
And then as a father, you want to control.
pause. You know what we really need? And what really we're designed to have and to be affirmed is our ego.
Wow, that's so good.
So this is free, by the way.
Hey, by the way, we're running out of time. So let's land this plane. But what I would like to do is continue this conversation. Can we do that? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's try to land this plane and then we'll continue it on the next podcast.
The greatest gift that your wife can do for you as a man is to feed your ego.
Absolutely, feed me.
Can you say the Spanish?
Dame. Mas. She does a good job. She does a good job.
Feed your ego. Ego and pride are two different things.
Absolutely.
Right?
Hey, speak to that, man. Come on.
We're out of time.
Yeah, I know. Next episode.
We'll do it on the next episode.
Promise?
I promise.
All right.
So let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
So we understand that where man begins, where manhood begins, is very important. Who's there is very important.
Yes.
The greatest men that are evolving in today's society is not men that necessarily have a father that exists and that is present. Let me say that. There are women that have taken that role to the next level and has made sure that they understood that their boys need a male mentor and a male figure, whether it's the pastor, whether it's the uncle, whether it's the grandfather. And they made sure that at some point they facilitated that because of the importance of developing as a young man with a manly perspective on life. And I applaud you for that.
Yes.
Right? So that's a remedy. Whether you're a single mom or not, that's a remedy. Whether you have a husband or a deadbeat husband at home. Did I say that?
Did you say that?
He sure did.
I don't have the bleep button.
A bleep bleep. Whether you have a man or a boy in your house, that's another thing, right? So what we're saying is that there are ways that we can bring remedy to what the man should be in this time, in this season, so that we don't commit the sins of our forefathers.
Absolutely.
And we don't hand over, we don't give them a baton of the same thing that we were used to, the same patterns that we were used to, of the same mishaps, misfortunes, all of that stuff. So we're going to continue this conversation talking about we are men, talking about manhood, talking about the importance of how that's developed.
Man, that was a super amazing podcast. God, I just smiling. Well, I'm leaving out of here with a smile on my face. It's crazy. For more information or suggestions on future topics, we can be reached at team@uncoveredpodcast.org. So I want to, because of the special edition, men, if you want to know something else that we maybe did not cover, we have another, you promised me we're going to do that.
Yeah,
we're going to do another podcast like this. But if you do have a suggestion, hit us up at team@uncoveredpodcast.org. Go ahead and email us on that.
Yes. And ladies.
Okay.
Share this with your sons. Share this with your husbands. Share this with your fiance, your boyfriend. I guarantee you that something that we said may trigger a conversation amongst you two and may trigger the thought of, hey, I need to consider some things that they're saying.
Well, we want to thank Pastor D for being here with us.
Amen.
You want to plug in your social media, or where can you be reached at?
You can go to Facebook and just type in Daniel Torres. Amen. And there you will find who I am, and you'll be able to get connected to my church, Destiny International Ministries. And there you'll see plenty of podcasts that I've made on forgiveness and just different things that I think it will be a blessing to your life.
Well, we appreciate you being part of our show. Remember, the only way to live is uncovered in marriage and relationships. God bless you, and thank you for joining us.